Taking good notes with Neovim is more than just a cool thing to do. If you're a Vim or NVim user, it's essential. Having your most productive text editing space serve as your primary note-taking tool is probably the best thing you can do for your writing and note-taking system. I've previously covered how I built my second brain, video link above, and even a system to make your Neovim your writing partner. But the missing piece in this trilogy, assuming you're already set with these, is making Markdown, my format of choice, not only look great but also function as if it's ingrained into the editor. By the end of this video, my goal is to make Neovim such a great Markdown utility that it wouldn't make any sense to even consider an alternative. With that in mind, let's review this system for Neovim Markdown note takers, and I'll share a surprise at the end about taking your writings and notes out of your machine and into the wild. Ready? Let's go! The first and most important everyday add-on in my eyes is rendering Markdown so that it's not only visually pleasing but also easier to track. Most NVim Kickstarters come with some Markdown formatter that knows how to differentiate headings by using different colors and highlighting code boxes, etc. But it's never good enough, and mostly good up to a point. If you use tables, checkboxes, or modern callouts, they will either be completely unsupported or lacking in many ways. For this reason, and many others, for a while I decided taking on Neorg as the system and format of choice. It worked great, and you're welcome to check the video I made about it up here, but eventually it wasn't Markdown. It required learning new syntax and relying on something most frameworks and tools you'll see further in this video don't support. This brings me to markdown.nvim, a relatively new plugin gaining popularity and does a great job with all of the above. You'll see headlines turn into numbered icons, lists and nested lists add visually distinct separators, tables renders as they would in the browser, and even latex getting attention. To start exploring these options, let's install the plugin by adding it to Lazy. I'm using the defaults here, but this thing is fully customizable to the level of specific icons, nesting levels, and shape of separators. It uses tree-seater and one of two icon packages you can choose from to create the visuals we'll see next. Since Nick's home manager is now taking care of my dot files and the video is up here if you're curious, I'm running home manager switch to populate the changes. Let's take a nice readme to use as an example. My Tmax Session X readme is perfect for that. Out of the box, you can already see multiple new visuals. Headings are marked with their level. While the image isn't rendered and I don't bother with integrating that into Neovim, I'll add relevant resources in the description if you're interested. Another cool addition is marking code blocks in a few ways. First, it marks the formatter, and if the language is known, it gets a nice icon next to it. The block is also highlighted from the top to bottom, so it's easier to track. Let's create a new test Markdown file to explore the rest of the features. Next to the convenient little flags added to the headlines for even extra readability, GoCode gets a nice gopher, making things easier on the eye. Quotes are also rendered nicer with a heavy border next to them that both marks the block and separates it from surrounding text. And here's a real visual game changer. Tables are perfectly drawn around what used to be only half-baked presentations of other plugins. I'm probably going to get comments in the known style of "Emacs had it for years, bro." I know, not using Emacs, therefore I get to be excited. Going back to titles, the nested icons go pretty deep. I can't remember when was the last time I used even a 4th level nested title, but anyway, this thing covers way more. To-do lists also get attention, marking undone tasks, done and delayed ones. This is actually one space where the Obsidian plugin does a little bit better job, but it's nitpicking and we'll get to Obsidian users in a bit. One of the most widely used patterns in Markdown is numbered lists and bullet points. This was one thing I absolutely loved about Neorg. It visually separated different nesting levels of bullet points beautifully, and I missed it so much after going back to Markdown. Well, with Markdown.nvim, it comes back. This is a tipping point where I think the rendered Markdown becomes even better than the real-life web rendered version. Moving on to a recent Markdown addition, callouts. Callouts add visual blocks you may have already seen around GitHub with tips, warnings, examples, etc., all wrapped like code blocks. Markdown.nvim supports callouts with many options you probably can't remember alone. From notes through tips, warnings, dangers, success, bugs, examples, and quotes, there's a callout for anything. It renders beautifully as a block on Neovim, on GitHub, and if you're an Obsidian user, I recently discovered it's supported beautifully in the Obsidian UI as well, and I've been like a quick break and thank the sponsor of this video. Ever worried about the security of your remote work setup? Today's sponsor, Twingate, has got you covered. Twingate is a modern cloud-based alternative to traditional VPNs. It provides secure, remote access to your company's network resources, making it easier and safer for teams to work from anywhere. With Twingate, you get easy setup in minutes instead of days, you get seamless user experience across all of your devices, and enhanced security based on zero trust principles. Want to see how Twingate can transform your remote work security? Visit twingate.com to start your free trial today and experience the future of secure remote access. Twingate also offers a free plan of up to 5 users, perfect for small teams or to test the waters. Now back to the video. Markdown.nvim is amazing, but sometimes even that's not enough. Not because it's lacking, but A, it may be beautiful, but you want to know exactly what it's going to look like in production, and B, you may have lots of images, videos, or other integrated media or non-media that just requires web rendering. For these, my weapon of choice is Markdown Preview. A quick add to lazy with the defaults, and I'll pause to remind you that this and every other config you see are publicly available on my .file, so feel free to copy or use it for reference. With Markdown Preview installed, one simple Markdown Preview nvim command and the browser pops with the rendered file. Beyond the perfect preview, the plugin also tracks your Neovim movements, so you can scroll through the text, jump up and down, or move between search results, and the browser tracks everything, updates in real time, and help you finish your work. No more the days of pushing to GitHub just to see if the table is rendered like I planned it. Real devs test in production. So there's a way to render in Neovim and a browser tracking file changes. Enough, isn't it? Well, not quite. There's another must command line tool that does some magic markdown rendering named Glow. Glow belongs to the amazing suite of Charm Bracelet. It can be installed via any package manager, yes, including Nix, and can serve in 2 main ways. The first, if we run Glow file, the file is directly rendered and sent back as output. The second, and much nicer way in my opinion, is its TUI mode. Run Glow alone and it'll show a fuzzy searcher with locally available Markdown files in the current path. You can use standard motions to scroll between them, hit enter to open one where it's sent to a pager utility like less. Then you can scroll through, read within the render document, and step back to the list when you're done. Glow has its own way of parsing Markdown, and it's been my go-to for quick rendering that doesn't require a dedicated plugin, opening the browser and other hassles, a quick CLI, and a visually pleasing UI on top. If you're a dedicated note taker, you've probably heard of Obsidian. Now, I'm not advocating for Obsidian's use, but it's definitely my choice when it comes to general notes and a second brain system specifically. After trying Notion, Roam Research, Raw Apple Notes, and just a notebook, I've been a long-time user of Obsidian, and for me, it's the absolute best. One of the reasons I like it so much is its easy portability to Neovim with a plugin called Obsidian nvim, which, if you go to its page and check out the title, it'll point you to an excellent YouTube video for a preview. So feel free to check out the video I made about Obsidian and Neovim later, but let's give you a quick TLDR. After a quick installation, I'll open my notes folder. There's a reason for this structure. This is called a second brain. So instead of placing a sponsored segment here, I'll just tell you that last year I made a mini course where I explained the basics of a second brain after reading multiple books on a topic. I built a second brain from scratch and add extras to help anyone build their system from zero, no prior knowledge needed. I show the integration with Neovim and go through all of the features, and it even includes a recording of a live follow-up workshop with students asking questions and me answering them. If you're interested in building a second brain with Neovim in under 90 minutes, the link is down below. Use the code SPECIAL10OFF for a 10% discount as a thank you for being an awesome viewer, maybe even a subscriber. Back to our video, Obsidian comes with a large option menu inside Neovim. You can use it to create new notes. It injects raw front matter to help you later with classification and discovery of notes. It can help you link to existing notes, which is one of the superpowers of having a note system. And it can follow links from within Neovim with a dedicated command of its own. It's worth mentioning that Obsidian nvim comes with its own Markdown formatter, and it can sometimes clash with markdown.nvim. It's probably wise to disable Obsidian as the Markdown UI if you're using Markdown nvim as I do. Within the plugin's README, within a nice node callout, there's a short config line to help you do exactly that. Lastly, I promised a surprise and I'm not going to let you down. If you want to start your own blog, maybe put your note system in public for everyone to see and envy, or simply run a local web server rendering your note structure, Quartz is for you. All you have to do to start using Quartz is clone the repo, and after installing all the dependencies with npm install, run npx quartz create, and either change the settings or follow the defaults, and don't worry, it's all configurable later as well. From this point, you can start serving by running npx quartz build -- serve. Let's pop the browser on localhost port 8080, showing a nice index, which is the default node under the content directory. From this point, anything under content will be rendered and served. I'll grab an old version of my notes back when I first built it and place the entire thing as is inside content. Now check this one out. Similar to Obsidian, if you're familiar with it, it shows a beautiful graph of notes with topics, links, preview pop-ups, and even tags. Anything you can ask for. If you want to really take Quartz even a step further and deploy it remotely, while you can do it on your own rather easily, the docs take you hand in hand running it on Cloudflare pages, and like I mentioned earlier, this is a great way of publishing a new blog straight from a local markdown directory on your machine. What more can you ask for? Let me know what you think of the idea in the comments below and whether you've found other uses for Quartz. Also, feel free to share links to your blogs or other systems running on Quartz in the wild. With Markdown all set up, you're good to go. But are you making the most out of Neovim as a tool for writers? Here's your next watch, where I explore pushing the limits of Neovim, making it an incredible writing system even authors use. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.